under a pallid moon, a small boat cuts through the inky waters of the Venetian lagoon, drawing ever closer to Lazaretto Nuovo. The island, once a quarantine station in Venice's plague-ridden past, now lies abandoned, its ruins standing silent and foreboding. The paranormal research team, comprised of historian Alessandra, skeptic Marco, and psychic medium Anna, is drawn by legends of ghosts that rise to whisper secrets of the Black Death. As the boat edges to the shore, a dense fog rolls in, snaking around crumbling stones, as if the island itself beckons them into its embrace. Disembarking, they catch sight of dilapidated buildings silhouetted against the dark sky, their broken windows resembling hollow eyes watching their every move. The team sets up a makeshift camp in the courtyard of what was once the main quarantine barracks. Though they have not yet ventured inside, each member already senses a presence watching, a breath of something wicked lurking in the shadows of history. Anna, typically grounded, shudders with inexplicable anticipation. Her hand trembles as she clutches a worn map of the island's structures, her mind already wandering through paths unseen. Marco dismisses her anxiety, insisting it's merely the semblance of ruined walls and dense fog playing tricks on her senses. Yet, as they turn in for the night, their thoughts linger on the stories of the plague-ridden souls trapped forever in this liminal place between death and remembrance. Despite their nerves, the team decides to begin their investigation at what was once the heart of Lazaretto Nuovo, the central plague pit. Legend has it this is where the whispers are strongest. They move cautiously through the rubble-strewn grounds, their footsteps echoing in the oppressive silence, interrupted only by the distant lapping of water. A sense of melancholy pervades, as if the very air holds the sadness of lost souls. As they reach the pit, Anna pauses, staring transfixed at something beyond the physical dimensions perceivable to her companions. Shadows drift in her peripheral vision, figures tangled in their own woe and despair. Marco remains skeptical, jotting observations in his notebook, unable or unwilling to feel the chill that has settled in the pit of his stomach. Alessandra, however, becomes increasingly uneasy as she recounts the history of these grounds. Her voice trembles as she speaks of mass deaths, old quarantines, and the suffering the island witnessed centuries ago. The ground seems to pulse beneath their feet, alive with the memories of the tortured past. Already, the thin threads between their world and the intangible begin to fray. With nerves fraying, the team decides to explore the eastern wing of the quarantine facility, where legends speak of protective rituals that failed to ward off death. Their flashlights barely penetrate the darkness, flickering ominously with each step. The air is thick with the scent of decay and age, every creak of the floorboards echoing with 1,000 footsteps of the past. Inside the building, the walls are adorned with faded symbols and marks, relics of past rituals meant to safeguard against the plague. Alessandra is drawn to them, her fingers tracing over the illegible, aged inscriptions, as if hoping to decipher the secrets hidden within their strokes. Marco, reluctantly intrigued, can feel the weight of history pressing down on them. Despite his earlier dismissal of anything supernatural, Anna stands still, a conduit caught between realms. She hears faint whispers, unintelligible yet laden with agony, a cacophony pouring through unseen gateways. The walls seem to close in, the darkness thickening like a living entity. A trickle of sweat makes its path across her brow as shadows dance grotesquely, their shapes hinting at sinister forms caught in purgatory. The further they delve, the more the island reveals, its past bleeding into their present. Haunted by their own inner fears, the investigators' fragile sanity teeters on the edge as they reach what was once the isolation ward. Stillness reigns, a waiting breath heavy with unsaid stories demanding to be released. Alessandra, sensitive to the island's sorrow, believes she hears the muffled cries of those who endured in squalid isolation. Ever close to the breaking point, she approaches a window barred with rusted iron, its protective lines a feudal legacy against the relentless grip of mortality. Through a fractured pane, moonlight sifts in, casting ghostly bars upon the floor. Marco, desperately holding onto logic, feels the taut grip of something slipping away, his own resolve threatened by the pervasive dread. In the dimness, their third companion, Anna, keels, overwhelmed by perceptions of 1,000 voices rising against a spectral suffocation. Her palms press against temples in a vain attempt to silence the growing clamor of spectral woes. Tears stream down her face, leaving trails through the ash of the past. Night escapes the tenuous grasp of dusk, plunging the island into an obsidian canvas streaked with intermittent patches of moonlight. The team regroups at their makeshift camp, fraught with the tensions of their chilling discoveries. They light a fire in hopes of grounding themselves in the present, yet shadows remain constantly at their periphery, whispering secrets in dried, hushed tones. The flames crackle, extruding a peculiar warmth, their only defense against the encroaching chill that was beyond the physical. Marco unrolls ancient maps, endeavoring to locate uncharted sections of the island, convinced that rational answers could be hidden therein. But as midnight approaches, the very air seems to resonate with languished sighs and disembodied chants that drift on the breeze. Anna finally gives voice to her fears, admitting she feels like the island is aware of them, as if it harbors an intelligence. Her admission hangs heavily between them, its weight sinking into their consciousness. Alessandra shares her theories about protective rituals gone awry, about a failed consecration that might have awakened something. With every passing hour, the night reveals deeper secrets in whispered confessions, riding the uneasy silence. As midnight unfolds, the island seems to awaken from a fitful slumber. Unseen forces stir the stagnant air, voices echo faintly, emanating from the plague pit like an open wound, hissing ancient secrets. Prompted by morbid curiosity, the team moves, as if captivated by a dark magnetism, towards the source of the spectral choir. The chorus intensifies, growing from murmured echoes to coherent laments, a symphony of sorrow that carries the stories of those who once breathed their last in misery. Anna, acting as a conduit, interprets snatches of words, fragments of lost hopes, and beseeches for rest. Her trance-like state pulls the team forward, compelled by an invisible grip that demands understanding and heed. Marco, weakened, falls to his knees at the pit's edge, consumed by a torrent of voices that penetrate his rational defenses. The guttural wailing of spectral voices grips at his sanity, gnawing at his resolve. Alessandra, struggling against rising panic, realizes they were no longer just onlookers, but unwilling participants in an ancient, forgotten ordeal. Amidst the island's ghostly waking, Anna senses an impending climax, a surge of spiritual tides pulling them towards the heart of the island's suffering. A low, unnerving hum begins to reverberate through the island's skeletal remains, as if resonating from deep within its belly. They follow the sound to an ancient chapel at the island's center, long abandoned and overtaken by creeping roots and age-old neglect. Inside, the walls flicker with essence, shifting between solidity and ethereal transparency, detaching the investigators from time. Alessandra stands in the center, the room amplifying her whispered histories of the island, transforming them into a chorus of spectral revelation. Marco, gripping his sanity, recalls every chant and prayer he has ever learned, uttering them fervently as a wall against the encroaching corruption. Anna, agony etched in her features, reaches out to the unseen forces she feels, desperate for understanding. Spectral figures flicker in and out of their reality, crossing thresholds only seconds before they were ignorant existed. The island wages its final gambit as the investigators confront the relics of the island's plagued souls. Those who, even in the throes of torment, reached for salvation through twisted rituals. The air inside the chapel grows thick, as though soaked with centuries of forgotten grief. Anna collapses, overwhelmed by a potent vision, a blend of her perception and the island's mournful cry. She witnesses the layering of time, the island's vibrant past folding into the decay of the present, and future shadows marking inevitable loss. She sees the plague, the failing rituals, the desperate cries of those who roamed these grounds. Her vision shares an anguished truth. These vestiges of the plague reach towards the fading light, not with malice, but with the hope of being remembered, fearing the final death of being forgotten. Anna relays this revelation, struggling through the debilitating connection, while Marco clings to rationality, eyes haunted by the energy flowing from visible shadows passing through their illuminated time. As daylight approaches, the oppressive heaviness of the night begins to lift, but not without leaving indelible marks on the team. Their understanding of reality, of history and memories, forever altered as they pull back from the brink of that insurmountable chasm of lament. Alessandra, spoken aloud, a shared truth for the lost souls and the living. We remember. The island, appeased by their acknowledgement, seems to release the grip it held on the fabric of time, the echo of whispers fading like spent echoes on the sea breeze. Their journey back to the mainland is bathed in early morning hues, the fog dissipating, as if unveiling a hidden realm where darkness and light merge. As they reach the shore, silence returns, no longer unsettling, but rather a comforting blanket over secrets now acknowledged, a concluding whisper in reverence for the voiceless. Returning to Venice, the team walks through its ancient streets, the morning bustle beginning to awaken the city with life and normalcy. Yet, each glance at the vibrant canals reveals ghostly traces of the night's memory, threads binding past and present, reality and other. Marco, more pensive, looks at the pages of his notes, now filled with the ethereal truths he's witnessed. No longer burdened by skepticism, but imbued with the weight of a terrible beauty. He realizes the shadows he once argued against are intricately woven into the fabric of Venice, wrapping its history in spectral embrace. Anna, touched irrevocably, holds within her heart the voices she has heard, their sorrow and their hopes, embers of her experience that stoke a desire for deeper understanding of the mysteries beyond. And as Alessandra speaks to a reporter curious about their expedition, her voice carries a power only born from profound witness, acknowledging the whispers endured through centuries, voices once meant to be forgotten.